How's it pronounced? Something like that.
What was my childhood like? Where would I begin? So I was brought up a Jehovah's Witness, and I'd been taken out of school when I was 11. So I was home educated for 5 years. I had no social life whatsoever. I am pretty introverted, but like back then I didn't even like to show my face. I had really bad acne. I was just like hiding in my room for years. I lost my faith, so to speak, as they say. When I left the church when I was 16, that was a very exciting time because I went back to school. I decided to go back to school. Like I didn't really know how to conduct friendships. And actually what happened is I ended up just studying really hard, not really socialising again, which meant that I did well in my A-levels, which meant then I went to Oxford. Such a huge culture shock. Notoriously, state school students have a pretty tough time, but then I hadn't even been to school from 11 to 16. So like my study habits were bonkers. I had no discipline. I instinctively rebelled all the time. I had toxic levels of imposter syndrome. Like I just felt like I shouldn't be there. A lot of people at Oxford, they kind of understand their life as part of a journey and they have a plan. And I just didn't get any of it. So I was kind of like a rolling ball of chaos, very quiet chaos. So then I dropped out and I met Yanis, but it just would have been sometime during that spring. Actually, we worked together in a bar, and I, at that point, had become the bar manager. So technically I was Yanis' boss, and it was an absolute shit show because like he just didn't turn up to work. He'd turn up before his shift and be like, I'm not coming to work. I'm going to London to see battles. I remember when he came back from that gig and he had like fire in his eyes. He was so excited by what he'd seen. So yeah, we formed a friendship around music, I guess. I think he genuinely was really interested in the music that I'd collected and the stuff I was into. Because for him that was like virgin territory. So I'd seen Foals, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. Like I kind of got obsessed with them. They were phenomenal musicians even then, and Jack was like the most captivating drummer I'd ever seen. You could just watch an entire show and just watch Jack. Yeah, I was basically a fanboy for a few months, not that long, but I couldn't really get enough. And then the famous night when Yanis got drunk in a bar and was like, maybe I should ask Edwin to join the band. I think I had like 10 techno records or something. It was like, wow, I know someone who likes techno. This is amazing, let's get him in the band. You know the whole climate change thing? That thing looming over us. I've been reading about it probably all year and become aware of the reality of it as opposed to the kind of drip feed of stories that we get in the news. That's the way that we frame climate change now, and it's very hard to get outside that narrative. But basically it's very difficult to communicate anything about the environment because you sound really negative. It can sound quite preachy, it can sound quite virtuous, and also people just don't really believe it. XR actually had put together their plan was and remains a good plan, which is that they were going to use popular rebellion, for want of a better word, to force the government to do something. And it's up to the government to do something. So you don't have to, as an individual, you don't need to get bogged down in the detail, like what do you or I do to solve climate change? Obviously the answer is that we can't do anything. But if you gang up with another 100,000 people and get on the streets, then you force the people who are currently not controlled, but heavily influenced by fossil fuel lobbyists to change what they're doing. if we could join forces with other bands and make it a thing, like a very minor cultural movement, because there's obviously a lot of other stuff going on in the world. The music industry's a tiny little speck compared to industry as a whole. That would make me feel more positive. You can act individually to empower yourself to feel like you can act collectively. I never anticipated even being in a band, and it happened and it's been amazing, but there were obviously points in the last 10 years when I sort of was aware of the fact that I wasn't doing the thing that I would be best at. Yanis kind of just pulled me out of this bar as a friend of his and was like, join my band. And I had no musical experience whatsoever. I think it would benefit me if I stopped and reflected on how incredible that was. I definitely, over the years, have repeatedly come back to the fact that Foals kind of saved me in a way, which isn't, I don't want to get emotional about it. I wouldn't have been able to go back to university because I wouldn't have been able to afford it. So, and I probably would have been consumed with regret as well. So, God knows. I don't feel in any way famous or deserving of fame, and I don't mean that in a modest way. I just literally, when I live here, I walk around London, I'm just another person shuffling around with a cup of coffee in my hand. There isn't this star inside me, this is just who I am.